Good morning, folks. Welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, your host, and today we're in luck because we're in southern Saline County near the big town of Gypsum, and we're on the Knopf Family Farm, and they have quite an operation. In just a moment, we're going to be talking with Justin Knopf about the family operation, and it's mainly wheat, sorghum, corn, and alfalfa. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these words. See you then.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning, folks. I'm Jim Shroyer, the host of That's My Farm. Thanks for being with us. And you know, we're in luck because we're in Saline County and we're on the Knopf Farms. And with us we have Justin, and Justin's going to tell us about kind of the family history and kind of what you do here on the place, and kind of tell us how you got here.
Sure,
Justin?
You bet. Well, thanks for coming out today, Jim. It's good to have you guys here.
Thank you.
We always appreciate the opportunity to host folks and tell our story of what we're doing here in Saline County on our family farm. I farm here with my dad and brother. We run a cropping operation. We don't have any livestock. We focus on the crop aspect of things. I studied agronomy.
There you go.
Very proud of that, and actually made it through somehow without a single animal science class. So to all the animal scientists out there, I apologize for that. But we're going to focus on crops on this video.
Okay, good deal.
Anyway, I farm here with my dad and brother. We farm in a dryland, no-till environment. Try to have a healthy crop rotation, and we raise winter wheat, of course, and then corn, a little bit of dryland corn, soybeans, grain sorghum, and then actually a fair amount of alfalfa hay, probably a little bit more alfalfa hay acreage percentage-wise in our cropping rotation than what the typical farm would have around here.
Sure.
But as far as where we've come from, my brother and I are fifth-generation farmers here in Kansas. My dad's family immigrated from Germany. Let's see, probably five generations ago or so, and my dad's side of the family actually both farmed, and then my dad's grandfather, so my great-grandfather, was actually a preacher, and they spent some time throughout all of the Great Plains in different states actually. Spent some time when my grandfather was young here in Saline and Dickinson County. Right. Actually preaching at a small church over by Dillon and Hope, east of here in Dickinson County. That's the time where my grandfather met my grandmother, and then my grandfather's family moved on down to Oklahoma, and I still have relatives farming down there in Alfalfa County, interestingly enough. My mom's side of the family immigrated from Sweden, and of course ended up, I'm sure you can guess, down by the Assyria and Lindsborg areas where they settled. So actually there's a quarter of ground there that my brother and I are farming. We're the fifth generation on that particular parcel of land where they had homesteaded that from Sweden.
Okay. Well, good deal. We're gonna have to take a break here for a second. So Justin, don't go away, and you folks at home, we'll be right back. So you don't go away either.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here, and I'm inviting you to come to the McCain Auditorium on October 12th to be a part of the Henry C. Gardner Global Food Systems Lecture Series, and the featured speaker will be Greg Page. He's going to discuss climate change in agriculture. When you think of climate change and the impact that agriculture may have on it, everybody involved with agriculture needs to be there. I hope that you can attend. We'll see you on the Kansas State campus. Again, that's October 12th, McCain Auditorium, and I'll see you down the road.
I'm a patient of the Kansas Regenerative Medicine in Manhattan. I had stem cell therapy in my hips and my left knee. My wife and I both are patients. We went down there the same day in November. Since then, my hips are feeling a lot better. I can work now most of the day if I want to. And before, if I worked in the morning, I was done in the afternoon, or if I worked in the afternoon, I was sure enough done for the rest of the day.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks, to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, and we're on the Knopf Farms in Saline County. With us, we have Justin. And Justin, you didn't run off during the break, so I appreciate
still
that.
Here. That's right.
Okay, good. So let's take rotations again, and let's go focus on the wheat crop. Okay.
So like I said, we're a dry land, no-till farm production predominantly. So our basic rotation would be 2 years of wheat, followed by sorghum, followed by soybeans, and then back to the wheat again. So a basic fundamental 4-year rotation is our foundation. Of course, we have variances from that based on weather conditions and field conditions, weed populations, and so forth.
But your first year wheat is probably first week of October.
Exactly.
At about
Usually,
75 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah, 75 to 85 pounds, depending on seed size, of course. And then, yeah, we usually will get started on that second year wheat, going back into wheat stubble.
Right.
That's usually a really nice seed bed for us. Holds good moisture coming out of late summer into fall, and we'll start 1st to 5th of October, kind of when soil conditions look
right.
good.
No-till, use your no-till air seeder.
That's right. Yeah,
right.
We'll use our 1890 Deere air seeder. It does all of our seeding, does all of our wheat seeding with that. We do our alfalfa seeding with it. All of our soybean we put in 15-inch rows. It's a 7.5-inch seeder. Right. Soybeans will go in 15-inch rows. And sometimes we'll do our sorghum with the air seeder on 15-inch rows. Right. Sometimes we'll use our planter on 30-inch rows. This is our depth gauge wheel, of course. We're determining our depth right here, right where the seed is coming out, or the seed boot. And I like the fact that we're determining our depth right where the seed is being placed at instead of behind it or somewhere else. We've got a seed firming wheel here that's firming that seed down into the bottom of the seed trench, so it's got good soil to seed contact. And then this is their closing wheel where we're just sloughing some soil back over the top of that seed trench. Depth is determined right here with an adjustment. Alfalfa, of course, is our shallowest seeded crop. Yeah. We're shooting for 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Right. Wheat, of course, we really work on having consistent seed depth in wheat, and that's difficult, particularly in that wheat on wheat.
Exactly. You get hairpinning if that residue is wet at all in the morning,
or not evenly distributed from our combine.
Exactly.
Another thing that's a challenge to work on, and windy conditions in harvest, but we continue to try to get better at that.
What about varieties?
So variety-wise, we usually use probably 3 main varieties on our farm. This past year, we used Everest was our main variety.
It kind of got dinged a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. This was a year where our weather pattern favored fuller season wheats this year, and so we saw that certainly on our farm and this geography in central Kansas. But it's been
a good variety for you.
It's been a consistent variety, and I'm going to stay with it this next year. We're going to this next year plant a fair amount of Everest. Last year we used Armor. This year we'll be using a little less Armor. I'm going to look at something new. Wizard is something we're probably going to take a look at.
LCS Wizard.
Right? And then we're going to have a fair amount of Cedar out again this year.
Okay, yeah, that's a very early season variety.
Yeah, and so we kind of got stacked up on the short side a little bit last year, which probably hurt us with the weather pattern we had last year, and so that's why we wanted to
go with Wizard. That's just a little bit later.
Spreads our maturity out a little bit on that mix.
Well, okay, I've got the high sign here for a break, so don't go away again. We'll be right back. You folks at home, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks, to That's My Farm. We're on the Knopf Family Farm here in Saline County. Justice, you stayed with us again. Thank you, sir. So here we are in a little soybean patch here. So tell us how you got to this point.
Right, so these dryland soybeans, they've been through, they got planted kind of late actually because we were pretty wet actually we were dry in early spring, really dry through April, which is usually our high moisture month, right?
Exactly.
And actually dry through most of May. And then we usually start planting our dryland beans late May through first half of June here, and we started getting rain at Memorial Day and stayed wet, and these actually probably didn't go in until about mid-June in this particular field.
And that's even late, in some years, late double crop. So these are your full season.
These are our full season, that's right. And we'll usually finish up on our farm. Honestly, our planting dates have been creeping a little bit later the last few years. Our hot spell in the summer has seemed to come more in July through early August, and some of our later plantings have been a little bit more consistent for both soybeans and grain sorghum on our farm the last 3 years, which has crept our planting dates a little bit later. But yeah, so this June, early to mid-June is about when we'll typically finish up our full season. Our double crops, of course, will all depend on wheat harvest, but this year, for instance, most of our double crop beans went in June 26th or so to about July 4th, July 5th.
What kind of yields are you shooting for your full season beans compared to your double crop beans?
Well, of course, I'd like to shoot for 50 bushel yield on our 50 bushel per acre on our full season beans every year, but realistically, probably 35 to 45 is kind of our realistic range. If we get it consistently above 40, that's a pretty good year for our full season beans. Our double crop beans, typically 20 to 30 bushel, we're pretty satisfied with. Realistically,
you keep the cost down on those.
That's right. Cost is low. We've got to be doing weed control in the field anyways in those fields, and this way we're able to utilize a little bit of moisture. I particularly like doing double crop beans in our more productive bottom soils, a little deeper soils that have a little bit better water holding capacity. And I like to do that double crop bean after the second year of wheat before we're going back to corn or grain sorghum. Fix a little bit of nitrogen, make a good seed bed for that following spring.
So normally you'd be following, for most of your beans, you're following grain sorghum.
That's right. The vast majority of our beans would be following grain sorghum. Some of them behind dryland corn, but our dryland corn acreage is much lower than our grain sorghum acreage is on our rotation on our farm. So most of them.
So what kind of seeding rates you're looking for?
Usually about 120 to 140,000 will be our range, depending on the farm. So on average, probably 130,000 seeds per acre.
Okay, good deal. And well, I'm getting the high sign here, so I think we better take a break here. So folks, stay with us. We'll be right back after the words from our sponsors.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
Fall is a great time to plant trees, shrubs, and perennials. Root development this fall means more growth with less watering next year. For faster root growth, always use Fertilome Root Stimulator. It is the only stimulator which contains IBA rooting hormone. Use Fertilome tree and shrub food after the plant has been planted for a month.
Save 25% now on Jackson's homegrown hardy perennials. Let Jackson's friendly staff help you select the best plants for your landscape.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks, to That's My Farm. With us, we have Justin Knopf, and we're on the Knopf Farms here in Saline County. And obviously, Justin, we're standing in the grain sorghum field. So, and I look down, I see a lot of residue.
That's right.
But you know, I gotta clarify. I saw a field cultivator heading out just a second ago, and I know you're a no-tiller.
Yep.
So what's the deal on that?
That's right. Yeah. Yes, we really work on our soil health and no-tilling, and really believe strongly in maintaining residue to help us both capture moisture efficiently and effectively and
keep it there
for the crop for when we go through these hot, dry periods that we've just been through, to where we can have more consistency in our yields. However, yeah, you're right. You just probably saw some footage of a field cultivator at the farm, and you know, we really focus on no-tilling, but every once in a while we find there's just some problems we need to go take care of. This year we've struggled with
wheat harvest,
mud during wheat harvest, and it's always tough to balance. Well, do we go ahead? You know, we've got landowners' shares of wheat out in the fields as well as our own, so it's always a balance between getting that crop out timely and maybe pushing it a few days and leaving a few ruts, versus, you know, if we take the risk of waiting a few more days, then we may have a storm or another 2-inch rain come through, test weight goes down lower. It's just a continual battle. So
it's a balance.
Every once in a while, I have to admit, we have to do some light tillage to repair some things, some tracks, or we also use some light tillage in establishing our alfalfa stands, incorporating lime when we have a field that's getting lower pH that's going into alfalfa, incorporating some lime with some light tillage as well. But we really work on trying to keep it at a minimum. I really believe in no-till, but I have to admit, we do a little
I saw that. I
That's
just wanted.
right,
Okay, so just take us what we have here. What kind of seeding rates and how about nitrogen?
Yeah, so sure. So this is grain sorghum, again, late planted this year because of the wet spell we had through mid-June, which is kind of when we were planting a lot of this stuff. This was actually seeded in late June, which is normally when we'll be doing more of a double crop.
It's going to have to hustle.
It's going to have to hustle to be ahead of whenever our freeze comes this year, hopefully not early. It's going to have to move along, but some of the milo seeded around that was seeded in early June or late May, it got stuck trying to head. It was in the boot stage through all that
got so
heat,
deep,
and it really was suffer. We're having standability issues in those fields.
Stalk rots.
Stalk rots are horrible. Didn't head out consistently. So again, later planted, if it makes it, is going to give us a little bit better yield. But like you said, it's going to have to really hustle to be ahead of the freeze and not get injured by it.
So how much total in? Do you have that?
Total N on this particular farm would be about 100 units total.
Okay.
And we put that in between the row. All of that went on as urea in between the row at seeding time.
Okay.
So we're on 15-inch rows, so 7.5 inches away is that band of nitrogen put on in the ground as urea. I like that because we're not losing it to volatilization. And again, seeding into nice heavy wheat residue to store moisture and capture it effectively.
Okay. Well, thank you, Justin, and hang on. You folks at home, we'll be right back after these words.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484. Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. As fourth-generation farmers themselves, they understand the importance of using the correct products on every acre. Farmers helping farmers. Heinen Brothers Ag offers quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today at 800-760-4964 or find us online at HeinenBrothersAg.com. Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Hey, it's Dr. Dan here, inviting you to Animal Science and Industries Family and Friends Reunion.
Whether you're an alumnus, a family member, or a friend like myself, I would encourage you to attend the Family and Friends Reunion on October 9th as a way to network, connect, or reconnect with friends of yours in your segment of the livestock industry.
K-State has many traditions. Agriculture and football are at the top of the list. So I'll see you in Manhattan, Kansas on October 9th for the Animal Science and Industries Family and Friends Reunion.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks, to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer. I have Justin Knopf with us from southern Saline County. And Justin, obviously we're in an alfalfa field right now, and I know that's a big component of the family operation. So tell us a little bit about your alfalfa.
Yeah, we really like alfalfa has always been a significant part of our rotation. It's been a crop that's done well for us consistently across years. We like that it's a perennial. Has a few less input costs from variable expenses as far as that goes.
The initial cost can be a little pricey.
Seeding year is pretty pricey, particularly with the price of alfalfa seed today. The seeding year, you can get up to $100-some an acre in the seeding year, but hopefully then that stand will last you 7-8 years. We always have a dry spell, dry hot period in our summer here, and alfalfa typically will go dormant for a little bit, but what's nice is we still have another chance for another crop after it does cool off. Kind of this time of year, early September, we're able to take a final cutting after we do get some rain and some cooler temperatures. So
you just want enough growth. You want enough growth after that last cutting to put nutrients back down into the crown.
That's right. We try to take care of our crowns where we have good carbohydrates stored in that crown tissue going into winter time, so we have good spring green up. That's a little tricky. You know, we have enough acres where it's tricky to time that all perfectly going into fall, but we do the best we can. Yeah, we really like, particularly in our no-till farming operation, having a perennial in our cropping sequence. We like Dad's always raised alfalfa. We grew up putting up hay, alfalfa hay, and he always saw the benefits to the soil and the subsequent crops after he had a field in alfalfa. And Jeff and I have just certainly carried on that tradition, and it's incorporated very well into our no-till farming practices and putting a lot of nitrogen in the soil. We'll usually have a field in alfalfa for 5 to 7 years.
Sure.
We like the deep tap root, see a lot of earthworm activity after a field's been in alfalfa.
Right. So how many cuttings do you usually try to go for?
We'll usually hit 4 cuttings per year, unless we have some really crazy weather event. We'll usually consistently hit 4. Sometimes on a few of the fields that we cut earlier in the spring, our first cut fields in the spring, we'll be able to stretch a small 5th cutting out of those some years.
Right.
This year it's going to be.
So what's your main market for your alfalfa?
Yeah, so we try to market most of it is that we get put up correctly, right? Has good nutrition, not rained on before it's baled.
Now that's a trick. Now I want to know how you do that every year.
That's right.
Put up hay without rain. That's pretty hard, especially that first 2 cuttings.
The neighbors always watch when we put down this one particular field. They know they can count on the rain.
Yeah,
so they
exactly.
Always watch. But yeah, we try to market as much as we can to direct to dairy farms that need good quality alfalfa hay with high protein, high feed value.
Relative feed value. Now, do you test it?
Every field, every cutting is tested separately, stored separately, inventoried separately, and marketed separately.
That's a good deal. I know you just a second ago you were talking about dry spells, and we've got obviously some seed pods here, so it's been a while since this area has been cut because of the dryness that you had, drought you had here earlier. And then you also got new growth here that just has come up here in the last couple 3 weeks.
About a week or 10 days ago, we had a really nice rain here and brought on this new growth, which will bring us a nice final cutting for this field. We decide, well, instead of trying to cut this stuff that's more mature, it'll be a really light tonnage. Let's go ahead and let this new growth come on in and fill in, get some more tonnage, and have a nice final cutting. It's timed right going into fall for the crop.
Now, but this probably won't go to dairy. This last cutting.
We'll have to see. You know, it may be leafy enough, and I would suspect there's enough new growth. If we get it put up right, have good conditions for drying, I think it probably will make dairy hay.
Justin, I really appreciate you taking time to talk with us here. And folks, thank you for being with us here in Saline County. And don't forget, next Friday, be with us early in the morning. Thank you on That's My Farm.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.